In the podcast, Ben Shapiro discusses the potential outcomes of the 2024 election, focusing on the strategies and challenges faced by Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Shapiro begins by highlighting Joe Biden's belief that he will win the 2024 election based on the idea that Donald Trump is a divisive and controversial figure. According to Politico, Biden has been quoted using profane language to describe Trump, indicating a deep-seated animosity towards his political opponent. Shapiro points out that despite Biden's confidence, polling data suggests that Trump is poised to win the 2024 election. Trump has consistently led in polls against Biden, and his popularity is evident in key swing states such as Georgia and Wisconsin. Additionally, Biden's approval ratings have been declining, with low ratings among various demographic groups, including young voters and people of color. Shapiro emphasizes that Biden's mental decline and his tendency to repeat false stories, such as his son's death in Iraq, are further damaging his credibility and public image. Shapiro delves into the significance of voter turnout and coalition building in the context of the 2024 election. He explains that Biden's victory in 2020 was heavily influenced by changes in voting rules and high voter turnout, particularly among minority and young voters. However, Shapiro argues that replicating the same level of voter turnout in 2024 is unlikely, given the absence of factors such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement. He highlights the variability of voter turnout among different demographic groups and the challenges faced by the Democratic Party in mobilizing these voters. Shapiro discusses the Democratic Party's current strategy, which appears to prioritize pandering to the left-wing base, including minority and young voters. He notes that Biden's administration has been hesitant to address issues such as the southern border crisis and has refrained from taking a strong stance on deportation of criminal migrants. This approach, according to Shapiro, reflects the party's reluctance to alienate its perceived voter base, despite growing concerns about public safety and immigration policies. Shapiro explores the potential challenges faced by the Democratic Party in the event of a replacement for Biden on the 2024 ticket. He argues that any alternative candidate would encounter similar electoral obstacles, particularly in mobilizing key demographic groups and building a winning coalition. He emphasizes the need for the party to reassess its strategy and focus on winning over suburban white voters and blue-collar workers, rather than solely relying on minority and youth voter turnout. Shapiro then shifts his focus to foreign policy, specifically the situation in the Middle East. He criticizes President Joe Biden for his approach to Iran, accusing him of appeasing the country in order to win the support of Muslim voters in Michigan. Shapiro argues that Biden's policies are emboldening Iran and making conflict in the region more likely. He also discusses an executive order signed by Biden targeting violent settler extremists in the West Bank, which Shapiro sees as an attempt to create a false moral equivalence between Israeli settlers and terrorists. The podcast also covers the latest economic reports, which show a strong job growth in January. Shapiro expresses skepticism about the state of the American economy and predicts long-lasting economic stagnation in the future. He also criticizes a bipartisan spending bill passed by Congress, which he sees as a redistribution of wealth and a move towards a universal basic income. Shapiro discusses the child tax credit and its potential impact on the economy, citing conflicting studies about its effectiveness. He also addresses an attempt to censure Representative Ilhan Omar, who has made controversial statements about serving Somalia. Shapiro criticizes Omar for accusing others of dual loyalty while expressing a desire to serve another country.